No! No!
Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Ultimate Pass tank, the CS-52 Lease. Now this is a Polish tier 8 medium tank that is pretty good. I've really enjoyed playing this tank so far. It's a very nice tank. It's very similar to another tank that's in the game, and that is the T-44-100, but it makes some little differences in trades of how they handle gun, that sort of thing. So yeah, so far I've played it, it's really nice. How can you get this tank? Well, at the minute you can either buy it in the store or you can buy the Ultimate Pass for the season and you can get this tank. That's how you get it, pretty much. So, let's have a look at the statistics of the tank. 208mm of penetration on its standard AP rounds is very nice. The APCR pen that this tank gets is also very nice at 252. It just means that really this standard round here at 208 kind of struggles against tier 9s and 10s. Well, I say tier 9s. Mostly tier 10s it struggles against. Which means you have to go to the premium when you're facing lots of the heavies, basically, at tier 9 and 10. And, yeah, to be fair, this isn't bad. I like this. At least this isn't heat. Because pretty much that means if the AP isn't good enough, you can just go to the APCR and it will be good enough for pretty much most things you'll face. Because obviously if it was heat, it would just get absorbed into spaced armour a lot of the time, especially when you're facing tanks. So that the 252 pen is nice. The 208 AP is very nice as well. Like I say, that's pretty good. It's got 320 alpha damage, which is very nice. It's always nice to have about 300 alpha at tier 8, more than that, because it means you can deal damage effectively, and when you do hit someone once, they do feel it, rather than being like cut by some of the other guns that that can do like 180 damage for what, you know, 1-for-1. And 320 is really nice. 1300 hit points is pretty good. That means you can take hits. That's pretty standard for a tier 8 medium tank, if I'm totally honest. There's lots of tanks like the Type 9-2. I think the T-44-100 is the same. You'll see in a second. I'm just going to compare the two in a second. 1300 hit points is about standard. 50 kilometers an hour. It does have a 50 kilometer an hour top speed, which is pretty good. I mean, you can get up to that pretty nicely with the mobility on the tank with the power to weight, so that's all right. 380 meters of view range, again, is pretty standard pretty standard tier 8 medium tank levels of view range. That's pretty much what a lot of the tanks get at this tier, so 380 is pretty decent. It's not brilliant, because once you get into 390, 400, that's where it gets to be fantastic. 380, yeah, it's okay. 0.28 still concealment, so 28% still concealment is pretty on point with most tanks, so that's, well, for a lot of medium tanks I should say, at the tier, and it's a really nice camo to have. If you can buff it up with some of the camo skills, it can be really useful. And yeah, so generally off of these stats, it's a pretty damn nice tank. I wouldn't say it's crazy good, but it's not bad. I'd say it's pretty balanced, if I'm totally honest. It's pretty nice. So 5.88 rounds a minute rate of fire, which is a 10.2 second base reload. I get this down to about 7.5 second reload, which is very nice for 320 alpha, and it definitely works. It's pretty good. The 2.3 aim time is about, again, it's pretty typical for tier 8 mediums. There's a lot of tier 8 mediums that have 2.3 in it. Yeah, it's alright. And you don't ever feel like you're aiming in for too long, you're waiting around for too long. It's pretty nice. The ammo capacity at 35, I found that sometimes it's just not enough. When I've been playing generally, the rounds I've been firing, I tend to find that I'm into the low levels of the last of my APCR, last of my premium. I'm like, wait, I'm down to 10 rounds already? What? So that, I kind of hope that gets buffed a little bit. It's kind of like what the old T-54 Mod 1, the Motherland, was like when that first came out. If anyone remembers that had like 30 rounds, and it always ran out, always, and it was pretty frustrating in long-winded games. So hopefully that gets changed a little bit. Hopefully it just gets upped a little bit, you know. .36 accuracy isn't the best, but at the same time, it's not the worst. It's pretty bang average, I'd say, for 3.36. But with crew skills, you make that accuracy pretty damn nice. And I'd say with the .36 as well, and it's something that I've tried both with and without. You probably will know the vert stabs, but we'll see that when you get to the garage portion. 7 degrees of gun depression. It's very Soviet 100mm gun type, and it's or Chinese as well, I'd say as well. That 7 degrees of gun depression for a Chinese Soviet type looking tank is about the same as normal. It's the same as the T-44-100. And it makes it a little bit awkward on some ridge lines, but a lot of the time it's not too bad, and it's not 5 degrees, so it's good. Winner in my book. 190 turret armour, 110 on the side and 90 on the back rear. Yeah, the turret armour is pretty okay. It's the type of turret armour that basically sometimes just bounces things, and sometimes it really doesn't. It's really inconsistent. So here you see the CS-52 lease, right? So you're looking at it here. Effectively, it's 207, 206, 207. Yeah, so basically, a lot of things that have about 230 pen will pen you quite easily on flat. And that makes for an annoyance at times with the turret armour. But when you hold down and you're using the full 7 degrees of gun depression, the turret armour can be pretty nice, and that upper plate becomes an auto ricochet like you see. But people can still, but you don't want to rely, you don't want to sit hull down thinking, oh, I'm a hull down god, I'm going to ricochet everything, because you won't. If people shoot you just to the left and right of the gun, like here, they will pen you, and it will hurt, and you will lose things like loaders and commanders, because I think they basically sit just in this turret, which, yeah, it's not good. The hull armour itself is pretty garbage. It's only 160, 170, so when you're facing lower plate is terrible, so that's always butter, but when you're facing tier 6s and 7s, some of them will bounce off of your upper plate, which is pretty nice. So if you're in a tier 6 or a tier 7, always aim for the lower plate. But for the most part, a lot of tanks, especially at your own tier, will destroy your upper plate, so you don't really want to be relying on this. You want to kind of get hull down a little bit, use the turret armour, try and bounce stuff with it. If not, then yeah, it's game over. It can side scrape as well, it can try to, but you see in one little spot here, yeah, it's here. So basically you will bounce a lot of shots by side scraping. You will ricochet things. As you see, and look, about up to there, angling wise, you can bounce. And that's pretty good. But they will randomly just pen you in the side, because lol. Because this little spot here does screw you over at times. So that's something you're going to have to watch out for. But on the whole, the armour's, the armour's alright. It's not the best, you don't want to rely on it, but it's okay. 43 degrees a second traverse speed is pretty quick. You do notice you spin around a lot quicker than a lot of tanks, which is nice. 308 meters rear range recovered is okay. 720 horsepower, so 19.69 horsepower per ton. Like I say, you get to that top speed quite quickly, which is nice. The 20 kilometers an hour reverse speed is good, because it means you can get back behind corners sometimes if you muck up, and you can get out pretty quickly, like I do all the time. It means you can go, oh no, there's a lot of tanks, run backwards, 20% fire chance, it does get set on fire if you get shot in the back. I've noticed playing against them and playing it myself, if people shoot you in the back end of your tank, so if one is like this sideways on and they end up shooting you here, which is, I'm assuming is where the engine is, yeah, you get penned, and you get penned and set on fire. It's not fun sometimes. I haven't been, you'll see when I get to Crucible kills, I haven't been running firefighting, but sometimes when I get set on fire with regularity in the back end, yeah, it makes me wonder if I should. So, yeah, we've covered that. 40 degrees a second traverse speed, like I say, it's pretty damn good. You spin around quite quickly. The turret, like I say, keeps up with the tank as well, which is nice. And yeah, that's the stats for this bit. Like I say, it's very, very similar to the T-44-100. I mean, you look at the pen's slightly better, and the APCR pen is around the same. Obviously, this gets 250 instead of 320 for a better rate of fire. So obviously that gets 7.5 seconds base. I think I can get it down to about near 5 seconds. The rate of fire on this is blistering. It's very, very nice. And this is probably the best comparison in tanks that we have on our side of what that CS-52 lease is. If you played the T-44 or the T-44-100, it's very, very much like that tank. This doesn't have as good a turret as the Tech Tree T-44, the Tech Tree T44 has a turret that is very much like the CS-52 lease, but it's very comparable to this premium tank. So if you've played this tank and you've enjoyed this tank, you'll enjoy the CS-52 lease a lot. So I'm going to take you to the garage portion. We're going to go have a look at the crew skills and what I'd run in terms of equipment, and I will see you there. Right, here we are in the garage with the CS-52 lease. This is the premium hero skin that you'll get. I say the premium hero skin. This is the hero skin that you'll get. It costs 3,000 gold, or if you buy the don't worry, if you buy the ultimate pass and you get this tank like that, you will get this skin with it. I'm not sure if you buy this tank individually off the tech tree in the future sales and stuff like that, you probably won't get this skin with it. So, yeah, is it worth 3,000 gold if you had to buy the skin separately from the tank? No. It's a nice camo. It looks good, right? But there's not really enough embellishments on it to make it worth 3,000 gold. You may as well just go and get normal camos from the tech tree because it would cost you 1,200 gold rather than 3,000, right? So that would be better to do than get this skin. But if you buy the ultimate pass, which is the way you get the tank at the minute, this is the skin you get with it, and it looks pretty nice. And yeah, you want googly eyes on it, because googly eyes, you know, look at it, look at its face. Anyway, we'll go into the stats and what we run. So in terms of equipment, I run rammer, optics, and vert stabs. I've played this tank quite a bit now, and I've played with and without the vert stabs, and you definitely notice the difference on this tank without the vert stabs. So you want to put the vert stabs on. I did run vents for quite a while, which there's some tanks in the game which you can get the gun handling down to as really good, basically, and the vert stabs, you don't really notice as much of a difference between removing them and putting them on. So you've run vents and optics to buff everything on the tank as a whole to make it as good as possible. This, you want to run the vert stabs. I run the optics, obviously, because you want to buff the view range up as much as possible, because it's only got 380, and you want to get it as close to that 445 as you can. Rammer, because obviously making DPM better is always nice. So in terms of the gun handling lock, it only goes down to 0.29, and that's without the vert stabs on there, because the vert stabs don't affect the effective values in the garage. So that would be lower with vert stabs. It would probably be like 0.27 or something like that. I don't want to make a guess because I don't actually know. But the vert stabs would make that 20% better anyway. So yeah, you want to run vert stabs. In terms of the ammo, I run it 20 and 15 because you always want that nice healthy supply for when you get bottom tier and it's horrendous matchmaking. You really need to try and affect the game and you don't want to be limp, basically. So having 15 is nice. 20 AP. I don't carry any HE, and that's because of the round shortage at 35. Too often I've had it on tanks that don't have much ammo where I'll get to a point where I've not got much ammo left and I'm like, I've got 1 round of AP and 2 HE, and I'm against super heavies or something like that I need those final 2 rounds of AP against. So that's why I don't run HE. I mean, you could probably run 2, but I just don't want to risk it. It's not something I want to risk, so that's why I don't. So let's have a look at the commander for this tank. So I run Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Sixth Sense, Trap Mechanic, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, and Snapshot. Now obviously it's got 28% camo, so I really want to help that camo as much as possible by having the Camouflage Expertise and having the Muffled Shot. Now obviously it's up to 31% camo with the skin attached to it, because that's what camouflage does, adding camo to your tank. It adds like 3% camo. So you want to buff it up as much as possible, because there's a lot of situations where you can be hiding behind a bush and then you can find that you fire through it and you don't get spotted using these 2 perks, and that's really, really nice to have. But obviously I do also play this tank a little bit more aggressive than sitting at the back, so sometimes these skills aren't that useful to have. So really you could drop the Camouflage Expertise for firefighting, and I'm saying firefighting or fire prevention, whichever one you'd like, in because they both help with fire. You could drop that, because obviously when it does get shot in the back end, like I say, it does get set on fire, and that can be rather irritating. And yeah, the firefighting or fire prevention can be put in instead of camo skill, and snapshot instead of muffled shot. I do have run and gun. I've reset the crew, and I do run and gun instead of snapshot, which is always more preferable in a medium tank than the snapshot if you're only going to pick 2 of the gun perk skills, so ignore the snapshot. Steady aim, obviously you want to make it 10% better as well. But yeah, run and gun, because when you're moving and you want to move in between positions, the ability to shoot 10% more accurately on the move is a hell of a lot more convenient than having it with the snapshot, to be perfectly honest. So that's why I'd run and gun over that. This is just, I put the wrong crew in it, basically. I think I've put one of the crews I've been training up in. And yeah, so I run and gun as well. But like I say, you can make it more an aggressive one, really, and you can put firefighting, the fire skills in there, and then snapshot in there as well, and make it like a full attacking tank crew. But I like the ability to stay on spotted for that little bit longer sometimes, because it's a little bit more helpful, especially when you're bottom tier, when you're playing something like Mali, and you can be in bushes and stay on spotted for that little bit longer using the camouflage expertise and the muffled shot. It can be pretty nice, and that's the way I'd run that. But yeah, on the whole, I mean, I've really enjoyed this tank. It's been quite a lot of fun to play. It's pretty damn nice. So I'll let you make your own mind up. We'll get English in there. I'll let you make mind up by watching the replays right now. So I'll see you in the replays. So I've got 3 replays for you in this tank, all of them first classes, and it shows what this tank can do on sort of different variations of maps. Like we've got El Halouf, then we've got Kasserine, and then Fisherman's Bay. And yeah, on the whole, I've been really enjoying this tank, because it's the mobility, like you see at the minute, it's not too bad. It gets up to its top speed of 50 relatively easy. Well, it sits about 48, 49 on flat, but you know, it doesn't seem slow, does it? It seems to be decently manoeuvrable. The gun handling feels okay generally on the whole, especially when I started to equip vert stabs. It definitely felt a lot nicer. The pen's okay. The reload with the alpha is pretty nice. It's always nice to hit for higher than 300, and yeah, generally okay. The tank as well looks alright. I really like the looks of the CS-52. It's similar to the way that a lot of the Polish meds on the Tech Tree line, whenever that comes, hopefully sometime later this month, they all look really, really cool, just from watching them on PC and stuff. And yeah, it's a whole line that I'm looking forward to on the whole. So, we're on El Halouf, and we've come to probably the normal position I'd go to, which is this position here at C3 on this little ridge line, because you can get a good amount of shots at people like that AMX M445 there's the cross, and we've got a few decent shots into the CS-52 lease as well, which is nice. Now here you see in the 7 degrees of gun pressure, it's making it only a little bit awkward at the minute, and that's purely because of the way that their teams position themselves. It's made it a little bit easier for me to come on top of here, but it means I've got to go right on top of the ridgeline to be able to use the gun, which can be a little bit irritating. Now we did get pen there, but then we also got a good shot deflected into our tracks, which is nice. I've realised that it's time. They're not pushing around that corner. It's time to get rid of this CS-52 lease. I'll get there in the end with saying the name. We got rid of him, and I'm looking at where their tanks are. They're all bunched up on this corner. It's like, okay, I need someone to help. I need to go right round them, and it's kind of, our team's kind of just gone and sat in front of them, which is kind of annoying because I just need that little bit of help. I need someone with me to like be a deterrent, basically, just not to get rushed. And we get a nice side shot into the 5100. We put him down to a one shot, just waiting on the reload, and hopefully we'll be able to finish him off. We pull right round, finish him off, and we're waiting. Hopefully the O'Neill won't die before we get to fire again, so we get the kill, but unfortunately he does. And then we'll come around the corner and we've got this defender, so it's like, okay, I'll track you then. And that's a nice thing about the caliber with the 100mm and having 320 alpha, is generally when you shoot people in the tracks, in the drive wheels, you tend to track them, which is very nice. So now this defender's not happy with me. He's decided to come and put some shots into me, and I'm just going to pull back so hopefully he doesn't shoot me. But he's really just not bothered about the STA-1 that's yellowed round next to him. He just wants to shoot me because he's unhappy with me, and that's what he does. But unfortunately for me, I don't get any more damage out on him. He gets shut down by our team, and we're already up to 3.3k damage. I mean, that was a quick 3-minute blast, and we're already up to a good amount of damage for a tier 8 medium tank. And now I'm deciding, you know what, I kind of know where some of them were. If you see the medium tank spotted up in E9, some of their team were lying about over here where I'm aiming, but on the other side of that mound. And I know there's probably still the TD or another tank as well, probably lying about on the ridge lines near their cap up here on our right. So I want to get the best of both worlds. What I'm going to do is come up over here so that hopefully I can shoot anyone that I spot possibly going up our side of the hill towards our cap. And I can also get a shot at the SU-101 here, or SU-101. And I actually do get the spot up on the IS, but I've actually just not bothered. You see me there thinking, oh, I'll go have a look, and I didn't bother. And he's actually there. Unfortunately, he gets unspotted just as I turn around. I probably would have been better to do it. And I should have stopped. I think I was still a little bit conscious that they might be able to kill me while I'm on the move, and I don't really want to die. But I should have stopped up at the top there because of the gun elevation. I should have realised that when I went down, my gun elevation would shoot downwards with me, and it meant that I wouldn't be able to get the elevation to kill him. So unfortunately, we missed out on the kill on the IS, but we look like we might be able to get there to get a shot into the 416 and the Tiger 1. Unfortunately, our team is capping, though, so they're going to make that a little bit harder. And we get a nice shot into the 416. The Tiger 1's still relatively healthy up there. It's like, okay, we're going to get some damage off. But there's only 4 seconds left on the cap. Our team's determined, and they do cap. But we finished that game with a very nice haul in the end. You know, we ended up finishing with 3.9k damage, 1700 assisted. It's a nice amount. And we do have a fairly long pause between the MVP screen. Sometimes the MVP screen just doesn't work for the Xbox One S. It's annoyance, but hey, well. So we finished with 1677 base, 2 kills, 3.9k damage, 1600 assisted. A nice game for a tier 8 medium tank. So here we're on the second game. We're on Kasserine. And yeah, we've got the weird spawns where they spawn at K1, we spawn at like A9-0. These aren't the normal spawns. Obviously the normal spawns are A1 and K0, but I do have a position that I like to go to when I get these spawns, especially from this side. And it's, to be fair, I like to go to the same area anyway from the other spawn too. Now for medium tanks it's okay to get to. For heavy tanks and slow tank destroyers, not so much. Where I'm going now, the way I'm going, and I should say, down this pass, if you're slow, you do tend to get caught out, and they do tend to have their wicked way with you at times. So you've got to be careful of that, because if they're camping on the ridgeline at E4, they will pummel you if they get spotted, and that's a bit annoying. So this position is where I like to go, because you can catch people out when they're trying climbing on the right. You can get good shots into them. The people on these ridge lines here can be a bit of a nuisance, but if they don't go there, then you can have free reign. But usually by the time I get here, you've spotted something, and a lot of their team have been spotted over there. So it's kind of like, okay, you know what, we're just going to be aggressive. We're going to move straight up. And as we're coming up, we're getting our enemy detected, and it's like, wait a minute, where? And it's this guy. And if I didn't have the camo perks there, he probably would have spotted me. He does have the stock turret, which means he's blind as a bat. But if I didn't have the camo perks, he would have probably definitely spotted me. So that's why the camo perks kind of helped a little bit. Now, unfortunately enough for me, he misses. We managed to finish him off, put our decent reload to work. And I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to push aggressively. I'm going to take these ridges over here and try and get in front of their team. And I'm kind of hoping I might get a little bit of help in this bowl. So that's why I'm trying to ping attack. And I'm thinking, right, okay, let's pop up, get a shot. So we get a nice shot into the side of the Tiger 2. And I am going to make mistakes, and that is I'm going to try and poke up again to get a shot into someone in a minute that I shouldn't have tried to take a shot at. So we're going to change up the angle, and this is where I do make the error, like I say. So we're going to try and get a shot into the Barask, because he is one that I anticipate will try and YOLO me. That shot misses. Looked like it probably should have hit, but RNG said no, and yeah, this was one of the games as well, by the way, that I ran without the vert stabs. I think the Fisherman's Bay one next is the one that has the vert stabs as well. Now, I made a mistake there. I lost quite a bit of health by poking up on that Paladin. I saw him fire, and I was like, you know what, I can get up on top of this ridgeline quick enough to get a shot into his lower plate and pull back. But unfortunately, I ended up taking quite a few shots because it was a little bit slower. Then this Barask, as I thought might happen, YOLO's me, which is kind of why I wanted someone else in the bowl, in this little ditch with me, because if I had someone else with me in here, then I might have been able to not lose as much health. Now, I know I'm probably going to bounce the T-3485M. He's one that I am quite confident with my not that great frontal armour that I'll bounce, unless he hit my lower plate. Like I say, if I was that guy, you want to be aiming for the lower plate. So, like I say, as a tier 8, I was pretty confident to bounce him. And I'm going to change up the angle again. I was last spotted over there. I'm going to try and pop up over here. They're really preoccupied with the guys over there. Like, he's really turned his turret. So I was quite confident in popping up to shoot him in the lower plate without punishment. And that's what happened. So that Barask is running away. And I'm thinking, I want him. He took most of my health. Get out of here. I'm not having that. You're not allowed to get 2 shots into me without pain. Pain comes your way, sir. So I'm being a bit cautious because there's still got quite a lot of people that are unspotted, and unfortunately I snapped the shot at that Tiger 2 and I didn't expect him to like fully turn for me. So when he did it, he sort of pulled forward and then pulled back dead quick, and that meant that I just missed and I snapped the shot. I should have just waited and aimed properly. I'm being cautious with the Vengeance because obviously I'm having a decent game. I'm at 2.6k damage, 849 assistance, and I don't want to throw that away. So we get a nice shot into the back end of the Vengeance. We set him on fire. Unfortunately, he's puts it out with a fire extinguisher. It doesn't burn to death. And he's kind of looking my way, and I was kind of waiting for him to stop looking at me. He does, and we finish him off. Now I'm going to try and look for a shot at this artillery. I'm hoping that he doesn't shut me down, because that would just be shocking right now. We try and get a shot past the rocks, but unfortunately there's another rock just behind the bushes, which we don't see, and we hit the rock. So I'm looking for him, but unfortunately he's moved behind the rocks. I'm not going to get him. We've got people down there, and the only people left on the team are the guys in the valley. So we're just going to go and manoeuvre around for that. But yeah, I mean, like this game in itself shows how the tank's armour holds up against the lower tiers, like I say, like the T-34-85M. The upper plate is awful. The lower plate is tragic. Difference between awful and tragic being that awful, you can bounce the tier 6s, you can bounce a handful of tier 7s, but once you're facing your own tier, yeah, they just completely destroy it. As the Barask showed when he came round, he just laughed at me when he YOLO'd, because obviously I've only got 75mm of side armour, which is good for side scraping, right? That means you're not going to get overmatched, but generally, yeah, it's not great. You will just get destroyed by people. So now, unfortunately, the first shot we took at this Trinity ended up hitting his spaced armour and bounced. We loaded the Prem for the VK101P because we might struggle with the standard rounds through his side and stuff, and we actually don't need them anymore, but we're just firing them now for effect. We actually finish off the CS-52 least. We finish off the Trinity Mark II there and secure another kill and 3.8k damage. And here's the long end screen that I'm talking about where it glitches for a little bit. Sometimes it's longer than that. So we finished with 6 kills, 3.8k damage. We got a Spartan for ricocheting some shots while we were low health. Top Gun, high caliber, the first class, like I say. The scoreboard, 1900 base, 6 kills, like I say, it's 849 assistance. I've already been over this. The ace requirement is already really high, by the way. I'm a prat, right? I had a 2.1k base game. A 2.1k base game where I did 5k damage and ended up with like 1,000 assistance in a tier 9 game. And it was really nice. I was like, yes, this is going to be an ace, and it was 2.1k base. And that would have been nice to show you in this replay, in this review. But also, I'm a prat. I forgot to hit record, which does happen. Does happen from time to time. I looked at it and went, oh my goodness me, I forgot to hit record. And that's because I switched memory sticks to the way I record. So I ended up mucking it up because I didn't change the settings to record onto my memory stick. I recorded like the first minute or something like that. It happens, it's the way it goes. So, in this game, we're on Fisherman's Bay, and this is where those camo perks might help us a little bit. And we're on the normal spot that I'd go to at E4, 5, 6, because you get shots at people like this King Tiger going across, but unfortunately, we just didn't get the shots into him. We do have these pesky light tanks in front of us that we want to try and get rid of, because they can be a little bit annoying. So what I'm going to do is actually get rid of the building there. Now, because I shot that building to try and get rid of it, because it will be frustrating for us, especially with those light tanks crossing over, because there's a little bit there that I can shoot them on behind that building, basically, where on the ridge line, but the building will block it. So we got rid of the building. Fortunately enough for me, one of our other teammates shot it, and we're actually going to push really aggressively. The artillery is spotted, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want you in the game. And look at that, he takes 400 hit points off us. We get a shot into him. Unfortunately, we don't kill him. And here we're being out-spotted. Well, I say we're being out-spotted. He's not spotting us. He's just in a position where he can shoot us. We can't spot this Tiger 2, which is really frustrating. This is where the 380 view range doesn't help us a little bit, because that heavy tank is basically behind a little bit of foliage. And yeah, 380 view range isn't quite enough, especially even with the situational awareness and the optics. Here's the camo though, because that King Tiger is still in the same place. And we're not getting spotted. We managed to fire at that Pershing while we were in the bushes. We didn't get spotted, which we would have done. But we actually managed to spot him there. We get another shot in. Like I say, we've got all the bushes here. That's why he manages to not spot us. He actually ends up blind firing us though, because he kind of knows where we are. So really annoyingly manages to pen us. There's a tank that was on our, well, behind us that got shut down. Oh, it didn't get shut down, it just dropped back behind the ridgeline that spots us when we fire at that King Tiger. So we're kind of in an awkward spot, because the King Tiger, if he high rolls, which isn't very often, but if he high rolls, he could kill us. So we've just got to play it a little bit more safe. Now, I'm shooting that building there because the building's kind of covering the King Tiger, and I want to try and get rid of as much of the cover that is in front of him as possible so I can actually shoot him. But he's now sort of making it so that I can't get him. The artillery gets respotted, and we've just got to take it. We've got to do the Lord's work, right? The Lord's work's got to be in every video we possibly can have. Now I'm hulled down against this King Tiger. Now, obviously, like I was saying, the turret armor's good, but it's not infallible, so I've got to be careful here. I don't want to be sitting in front of him, sitting there going, yeah, try and pen me, because he probably will at some point. He might get lucky and just hit next to my gun and pen me. And like I say, we're in the region where he could high roll. But at the same time, I'm happy to make these pokes even though I'm spotted, because it will take a high roll from him, and high rolls don't happen all that often anymore. Most of the time it's horrific low rolls. So this T-28 gets spotted, we get a nice shot into him. Like I say, you see the gun stabilisation, it's really nice, the accuracy is alright, and the aim time doesn't feel like too long, so we managed to snap a shot into the side of him even though it wasn't quite fully aimed. So you see, you're not waiting around too long. This tank is pretty damn nice to play. I've found it really enjoyable on the whole. It's not been one that I'm tearing my hair out trying to get nice replays for you to see and trying to show it off. It's been quite a fun little playthrough. So now that T-28 is down there, right? This Pershing is spotted, and I'm watching him run, and it's like, okay, let's see if we can get a shot at him. But unfortunately, he's kind of sticking below the ridge lines, and he's actually going further away down that ridge that I couldn't quite see. So we're not quite getting a shot at him. I was detected there, and it wasn't that Pershing when I was up on that bit of ridgeline, so that's why I pulled back, because I didn't want to get shot by anything that was camping at K2. I didn't want to get my game shut down, so I pulled back into the bushes here, and I'm waiting for this Pershing to pop up, and I actually, at one moment, didn't think he was going to pop up, and then he did, and unfortunately, as my shot hit him, and there's a little bug as well, which is annoying, that sometimes it pops up with a little X, like you've killed them, but you didn't, someone else killed them just as your shell hit them, so unfortunately, I didn't get the kill on that Pershing, just because I thought he wasn't going to pop up the ridgeline, and he did. So now's the time to be aggressive. We know the Draugen's in that B2 position, and he could shoot us quite easily from that position, but yeah, we stay at this ridgeline here, and that breaks the camp of anyone camping on their little TD hill, because we can spot them. Now, I make a little bit of a mistake here by going up a little bit too high on the ridgeline. That could have been the death of me there, but fortunately enough, it's not. This KB-13 sat in front of me, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to bounce him. He's got the 85mm, which is the T-34-85's gun that you saw me bouncing the KB in the last game on Kasserine. So I was pretty confident to sit in front of him and bounce him and put a few shots in. Now I'm trying to light them up here, because we know where they are, but there's too many bushes in front of us, and I'm already spotted. So they're just going to keep looking at me detected. So I'm going to move across here to where there's no bushes covering this flank, so that hopefully I can spot them. And if I do, hopefully get a little bit assisted. Now we do manage to get the spot up on that guy. We get a nice shot into him. Like you see him, the fact that the CS-52 lease has not a great hull armour. We managed to snap a shot straight into him and pen him. And now we know where he is, and the fact that he's moved, we're going to move across to see if we can get another shot in. Now, unfortunately, the shot ends up missing and hitting the gravel, but this is just what happens with RNG when you try and snap shots sometimes. Now, the Barask looked like he was trying to come down for a shot at me, but he actually looks like he's running away now. So I'm just going to move up to this ridge line over here so that if this guy wants to shoot me, he has to come all the way over, like he has. And we snap a shot straight into his track, kill him, and it's just the Barask over here and the Draugen at B2. Now, I really want the kill on the Barask, but he can kill me in one shot, so I've got to be a little bit careful. So I mean, we're at 3.5k damage. It's another really nice game for it, 926 assisted, and I don't quite want to get shut down and killed here. So we take it a bit carefully. We managed to snap the shot in and finish off that Barask, and that's the change in shell velocity there managed to make it so I hit him, because we've only got APCR left. Like I say, you do in more long-winded games where you're shooting about and stuff, you do kind of run out. Unfortunately, we missed the Draugen, and I'm going to try and make sure that I hit this guy. Unfortunately, he just turns enough to miss my shell, And that means that we're not going to get the shot to finish him off because he actually goes and hides behind the rock. So I'm going to move up to see if I can hopefully get a shot if he moves out. But the AC-48, sorry, finishes him off. And we finish that game off with a victory in this tank. And yeah, I say it's on the whole, it's a really nice tank. It's pretty balanced. It's not crazy good, but it's not like bad. It's not average either. I'd say it's just above average, and yeah, it's pretty balanced as a tank. So that was the bug screen end screen. So we ended up with a high caliber, first class, 691 base, 3 kills, 3.7k damage, 926 assisted, and a nice game for this tank. And it is really enjoyable and worth picking up. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Great success!